Hello everyone and welcome back to the GeekWave. It's the low budget show. It's the low budget show so low that there's no budget. We have no budget because it's a show so low. Oh man, what a week it's been. You know, there's so much going on. We're getting back into like the season of so much shit coming out. Like this week on the channel alone is going to be one of the busiest ones for me because we have The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel coming out, we have Uncharted, we have Cuphead coming out, Severance is coming out, and on top of that, I'm in the process of moving, and on top of that, I got Resident Alien, and we got Superman and Lois coming back, and we got new Iron Fist comic. But before all that, before I jump into the nightmare that's going to be, I wanted to take a moment and dive into the world once again of Batman. But this time around, we're going to be looking at Catwoman. So, it's the month of Bat. I've decided the next 4 episodes of the GeekWave are going to be Batman-themed. This episode is dedicated to Catwoman. It's episode 2 of the Bat Month, so awesome. And basically, I mean, I could get into it later because we got the news to go through, but I think every single iteration of the live-action Catwoman is awesome in its own way. And we're going to talk about them for a little bit here, and at the end of the video, you're going to get the audio recording of my review for Catwoman Hunted, which was the anime movie that came out a couple weeks back. I thought it'd be a good place to throw that in there. Maybe if you haven't seen the video on the channel, now you could actually listen to the audio version here. But surprisingly, aside from like the episodes where we are strictly dedicated to, like DC Fandom and Disney Plus Day, this is probably the most news we have for an episode of the GeekWave because we had the Super Bowl. And the trailers that came out for that, they don't justify their own video. And we're just going to talk about a couple things here. Some stuff that came out before the Super Bowl that this is probably really important for my channel because I'm going to be talking about Matt Groening at some point. Futurama is going to be returning to Hulu with 20 new episodes. Almost everyone in the original cast is returning except for the standout actor, John DiMaggio, which is a big deal. I like Futurama. I don't think it needs to come back. I like that it had its ending almost 100 times over. And I guess you could say there's some semblance of cool that it can come back and do its ending again, but it feels like, really? We can't get this to work? Okay, I guess we'll do it. And if it is coming back, just pay John DiMaggio whatever he wants. Like, if you cannot get the voice actor for Bender to sign on to this, and he's been very vocal on Twitter, like, I'm willing to do it, just let them pay me, right? Do it, pay him. He's the most important voice you got on the show. Yes, Billy West and Katie Seagal are big names, but it's John's show. He is the star, he is Bender. If you can't do the show, if you do the show without Bender, and you get a noticeable difference, we're not talking about Mike Henry no longer voicing Cleveland, we're not talking about Hank Azaria no longer voicing Apu. We're talking about John DiMaggio no longer voicing Bender. That's a big deal. And I think this is the part where you should just like sacrifice any good intentions you have and just pay the man. He's earned the right to do this. He's one of the best voice actors in the game. If Adventure Time's willing to pay him, you should too, because he's a talented guy. And this is something that if the show is coming back, I don't think it needs to, but if it's coming back, pay him. Because he's a talented voice actor. He's worthy of our time. He's worthy of our ears. He deserves respect, and we should give him that respect that he has earned by being a part of our world for so long. So if you're going to do the show without Bender, don't even do it. There's no point to it. It's a weird idea anyways, but hey, everything's coming back anyways. I don't know. It's amazing to me that Futurama was the one that never took off. You can say what you will about Disenchantment, and I know it's not everyone's favorite show. That's been consistently coming out. Like, why is it that Futurama was the one that just hit the hiccups at every curb? I don't understand. Because it's arguably the most well-written of all of that generation. It's arguably the one that maintained its integrity throughout everything it went through. It's weird to me that it's the one that just had all the troubles going for it, you know? Even American Dad found its home eventually, and that's surprising to me, but whatever. More Futurama, okay. Bring back Don DiMaggio, awesome, good idea. Jumping from there, we head over to the world of dinosaurs because we got our first trailer for Jurassic World Dominion. I I don't hate these movies. You know, they're fine. They are mediocre at best. They are popcorn. They're filler. I have no emotional connection to anything in these films. All I can say is the last one was really boring, and I don't like Chris Pratt as a person, so I don't want to see him as a lead. This was fun, I guess. Like, dinosaurs in the wild. Like, what a cool, crazy concept. That's exciting, I guess. I don't know. I really don't think it's interesting. But you're trying to... again, it's... I literally did an episode of the GeekWave a couple weeks ago talking about the requel. That's what this is. Because Alan's back, you know? Laura Dern's back. I forget her character's name. What is her character's name? Ellie? Is it Ellie? Or is that the kid? Whatever. Ian's back. They're all back. Everyone's back. All of your favorites from the 90s are back. Looking sexier than ever. My God, they all look beautiful. How did that trio age so perfectly? I would just kiss all of them in a heartbeat. It's amazing how beautiful they are. Cool, I guess. I really don't know. This means nothing to me. And I think it's going to mean something to somebody, but I don't know who that person's going to be. What are we really doing? It took us this long to get dinosaurs in the wild. This is a concept that should have been forever. And when I talk about another Marvel thing at some point, I'll talk more about dinosaurs in the wild. Speaking of things that are too little too late, which is everything in this list pretty much. Blade Runner, you know, that franchise that had so much money lost in each fucking outing. Look, the 80s movie, nobody saw it. It became a cult classic. Nobody saw it again. 2049, nobody saw it. It didn't make any money. Well, I guess if we go to TV, because Black Lotus must be doing pretty good for us. Blade Runner 2099, just shut the fuck up. Honestly, I can't deal with this shit anymore. Blade Runner is a world that just doesn't work. And when you try to parody that world or homage that world, like Altered Carbon, it doesn't work. Nobody wants to watch it. It has its science fiction following, the diehards, the tryhards. But nobody else is watching it. So making a limited series of 8 episodes on Amazon with Ridley Scott producing, who gives a shit? Who does? It's so pointless now to try to do this again. There's nothing special. There's nothing interesting about this. I don't want this to happen. Because it's just, again, the fucking requel thing. Try something new. Altered Carbon didn't work, so maybe doing this type of science fiction dystopia isn't what audiences want. This is the kind of thing where I'm like, if you wanted to make a really good Blade Runner story, you put it in a fucking video game, because this is a world that is built for video games. If you took the concepts we see in Watch Dogs or in, I don't play enough games, I guess, so Cyberpunk, I guess, and you made that a Blade Runner game, that's a great idea. But the people you're trying to market this to, they don't care. You can't get an auteur director to make this shit. Nobody cares. Oh, it's exhausting. But jumping from there, we head over to the world of DC, where they're like, hey, we're still got movies coming out this year, guys. They gave us a 2-minute featurette showing off their new films for 2022. I'll be talking about the Batman a lot in the upcoming weeks, so I don't have to bring anything up there. Then we have Black Adam. We got our first look at Dwayne Johnson and a bunch of other characters, and they all look really good. They all look fantastic, actually. I am a diehard JSA fan. I've said that since Stargirl came out. I've said that before. I love the JSA. I love the JSA more than I love the Justice League. I adore the JSA. And the fact that we're finally getting Dr. Fate looking great on screen is amazing. The fact that it's Pierce Brosnan is amazing. The fact we got a cool looking Hawkman and Atom Smasher is so cool. The fact we're getting Cyclone too. It's amazing. It's amazing that these are working, and they look great. I adore it. My main concern is it's going to skew people's interpretation where it's oh, they're ripping off Doctor Strange. Oh, they're ripping off Ant-Man. They're fucking not. these characters have existed long before those characters you know in the MCU. These characters are so important to the history of comic book superheroes that you have no idea. You have no idea how important the JSA are and how little respect they get in any community. It's amazing, and I cannot wait for that. The Flash looks whatever. It looks fine. Aquaman, yeah, you get it. It's fine. I just wanted to be like, oh, Dr. Fate looks so good. Dr. Fate looks so good. Speaking of things that are so good, guess who's getting his own sequel series? Again, like a Blade Runner thing. Megamind. This one makes sense to me. If you're doing a Megamind show, absolutely makes sense to me. So Megamind's a hero now. He's going to be a hero in the show. He's going to, give like, I forget, it's like Megamind's Guide to Being a Hero or something, the name of the show. It's just like he's going to be giving you pointers on how to be a superhero. It's a great idea. There is something very important about DreamWorks that I think gets lost in the shuffle, where it's like they have made more memeable characters than any other studio. They're important. They have a lot of great stuff going on. And Megamind's one of those great characters that just is so important to the culture. And I cannot wait to see what this is going to be, because animated stuff for kids that's based on superheroes, it's important. And we should do more of it. We should have more stuff like that happening, because it's cool and it's fun. I think Megamind's a good movie. I did talk about it a couple years ago on this channel. I will definitely be talking about it again closer to the release of this show, if that ever happens soon. But I think that's cool. And after that, we do jump into the stuff we saw at the Super Bowl, which I guess the two big things are a couple trailers. The first trailer we got is Nope, which is the trailer for Jordan Peele's latest movie. And okay, I'm sold. I am sold. Like, I love that he's become this filmmaker where it's like you see his name, you get excited. He's getting a big summer release, which is very important, because I think his last couple movies came out in like January and February. This is cool. I think this is a great idea. Like, Keke Palmer, underrated, babe. She is so underrated and she is so fun. Steven Yeun in here, I'll watch him all day, babe. He's great. Daniel Kaluuya in here, yep, babe. I'm on board. I love this cast. I love this like the ambiance of just something in the sky that is terrorizing people and we can't see it. And there's the simplistic title. Nope. It's amazing. It's powerful. It's brilliant. I adore it in every turn. I will watch anything Jordan Peele puts his name on, just because he is such a talented guy. And you see, like, it's amazing that he found his footing in this career doing this, because it's so different than what he started off doing. I love it so much. And Nope was just such a surprising trailer. It was so intense. It was so creepy. I adored it. It was the best trailer of the week to me, because after Jordan Peele's Nope trailer, guess what we got? Well, we got another look at Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And be prepared for a little bit of a rant on this one, because I gotta say this. I like Sam Raimi so much. I think this is the first time in an MCU film it looks like a director is making a movie that they want to make. They all look fucking cookie cutter. I don't care what anybody says about the MCU. I love it. I do love the MCU. All of those movies look the same. There is no visual style. There is no difference in flair or dramatics. They all feel and look the same. Aside from WandaVision, which was special and its own creature, this is a Sam Raimi film, and it looks like it. The zooms, the lenses, like, oh, I love every second of that trailer because it highlights the Raimi-isms. And then it does something that I absolutely hate and I'm repulsed by, and I cannot stand the notion of this. After we're getting like this beautiful look of America Chavez and Stephen Strange falling through the multiverse because he broke it, and Wanda being like, you know, when I break reality, I'm the bad guy, but when you do it, you're the hero. It's so brilliant, it's so cool, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Ultron bots show up in an alternate reality, and we hear Patrick Stewart's voice, and suddenly I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be a real movie, is it? Oh, you're literally just cashing in on nostalgia. Oh, you're not going to try hard anymore. Oh, as good as Sam Raimi's stuff is going to be, you're going to bog it down of the bullshit that's going to be the cameos, aren't you? Oh, you're not above being a piece of shit. Oh. I hate it. I hate it. I really... I get it, though. Like, I understand the need to do it for Spider-Man because people are assholes and they think it's a cool idea. Andrew deserved better. I'm going to say that. Andrew deserved better. But he died. We saw the conclusion to that character with Patrick Stewart, even if it's a variant in a different reality. Who cares? I also just don't make the MCU Professor X Patrick Stewart. He's 81 years old. He's 81. Oh, he's... Why do we need this? I really don't like this. I like Patrick Stewart. But the guy lately has just been... I guess maybe because he's got a young wife, he wants to impress her, so he's going to make a bunch of money doing the characters he got famous off of. Don't forget he's done 2 seasons of fucking Picard. Two seasons of Picard, okay? And now he's coming back here. I'm sorry, and this is just a personal thing, but if you are an actor and you want to be taken seriously for your talents, maybe don't have a wife that's 40 years younger than you. I instantly don't respect you just because I'm like, that is so stupid and silly. And I know it's Patrick Stewart, but like, dude, come on. Your wife is like 42. Stop. And it just, I don't need this. I don't need it. Personally, I don't need it. Personally, seeing the trailer, I like the notion of maybe a variant on Mordo being in charge of stuff. I'm okay with Captain Carter showing up. I don't know how I feel about Tom Cruise Superior Iron Man theories. I like him a little bit more now because I'm like, yeah, fuck it. We're not getting RDJ back. He made his money and he's taken off. I don't care. I just don't like Patrick Stewart being back because then it just opens up the door to Ian McKellen coming back. It opens up the door to everybody coming back. And just stop. We don't need to dig this well anymore. I hope it's a Ralph Bohner situation because that was the most smart thing the MCU ever did was make Ralph Bohner a joke and not have him be Quicksilver. Okay. Moving on from this really good trailer with one thing that pissed me off. We got confirmation that coming to HBO Max will be a Wonder Twins film. Finally, you want to cash in on like that silly young superhero nostalgia? Do your original young superheroes, DC, the Wonder Twins. A brilliant idea, a fantastic idea. I adore this idea. You should have done this from the beginning. Like, it's such a good idea for these characters. People love the Wonder Twins, you know? They're silly, they're campy, but that's what you should work on right now. You get the kids from Riverdale, you're sitting high and mighty. Scratch that. You get the kids from Euphoria, you're sitting high and mighty. Get random kids from Euphoria to play the Wonder Twins. I don't even care. Or Cobra Kai. You're already getting, what's his name? Oh, Solo? You're getting him to be Jaime. So get some kids from Cobra Kai to be the Wonder Twins. And people are just so quick to judge the DC cinematic universe for being like, this is nothing like Marvel. Like, no, they're doing different things. Like, they're just like picking up shit and putting it down and seeing what sticks. And I think that's a cooler way than just bringing back Patrick Stewart. That's just me. We are getting Michael Keaton back, which I'm still mixed on, but we'll have to see how that goes. And we have one final piece of news, which literally dropped right before I started filming. That is the trailer for Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. You know when Andy Samberg and John Mulaney were relevant a couple years ago when they probably filmed this? Yep. Guess what? They're here making a Chip and Dale movie. It is so weird. And I don't think it was like anything I was expecting. So they were really good detectives and they had like film and television projects like 30 years ago. It's the modern day. They're irrelevant. They're trying to sell their brand to be rebooted. It feels kind of Space Jam New Legacy-ish. Dale gets fucking CGI updated like it's fucking plastic surgery. And you see Chip's like, what the fuck? Like, bro, I thought we were duties. Like, I got the 3D animation, dude. I'm all updated and cool. Fucking Monterey Jack gets like addicted to cheese. It's like, what? I have a feeling the point of contention is going to be with how sexy they make Gadget, which I just know it's coming. You just know it's coming because it's fucking Gadget, man. This was such a weird trailer. Like, what the hell were they doing with like that weird ogre, troll, Viking, barbarian thing with Seth Rogen? Like, what is happening? What is happening? It wants to be Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I seriously feel like it's trying to be a Who Framed Roger Rabbit parody. I just think it's going to miss the mark completely. But whatever. John Mulaney and Andy Samberg, I get why you'd cast them. Bad choices for the voice. You need a Ben Schwartz in there. I know he's Sonic, but you need a Ben Schwartz in there just to balance everything out. Just because that is a voice you can see coming from a fucking chipmunk. Get him and Sam Richardson. Like, oh, that would have been great. But whatever. This movie, I cannot wait to talk about this movie because I feel like it's going to break me a little bit on the inside. But whatever. Well, that's a lot of news, isn't it? And when we come back from the break, we're going to jump into the world of the Catwoman. Of the Catwoman stuff. Yeah, the television, TV, all of it. We're going to talk about them. So let's get to it. So here's the thing about every live action Catwoman, and this is something I need people to understand. It's not just me as a person, it's literally just because it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Every person that plays Catwoman is fucking sexy. They are all beautiful, powerful women who just exude so much confidence and allure that I adore all of them. Regardless of how good the film is they're in, because some of them are not in great films, some of them are not in great TV shows. They're all just amazing at portraying that version of the character they are trying to portray. I think that's an important key to this story, an important key to show you we're talking about some really, really powerful women, really cool characters. I like Batman. I like his world, but to me, like, the standout was always Catwoman. Like, that was just the character I just liked the most. And I wanted to stay strictly to the realm of live action because I feel like we could do an entire other video talking about the animated Catwoman, who's the best voice actress, who presented the best stuff, and we'll get that a little bit at the end there when I do my review for Catwoman Hunted. But there's just a lot of good to come from the live action Catwoman. Because for some reason, I don't understand this, but for some reason, I feel like this is the one where everybody got it right. The movie's not great. Some of them are bad movies. Some of the women get extra hated for the roles that they did in those movies. But they're not bad. They just made some weird choices that don't work for everybody, but they work for me. There isn't a single actress to play Catwoman that I don't find incredibly attractive. There isn't a single person to play Catwoman that I don't think knocked it out of the park. We're going to take a little bit of time here to talk about some of those women because you know what? They're really damn impressive. And I think instead of starting from the earliest to the newest, we're going to start from the newest and work our way down to the oldest. So, the newest actress to play a live-action Catwoman comes to us from Cameron Bicondova. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her last name. She was in Gotham. Now, Gotham is a TV series I did not watch all the way through because it's Gotham. I know what's going to happen. It wasn't that compelling, but you know what? She's not only the youngest actress to play Catwoman, she probably had the most screen time as Catwoman and building up her relationship and her repertoire with some of the other actors on screen. I feel like establishing a young Selina Kyle was kind of cool to see, especially when we're building up the mythos of a young Bruce Wayne. Having those two have an intrinsic connection from such a young age, that's kind of cool to see. It's something that we don't always get. You see that they kind of find each other later on in life, but having them be like these, I'm not going to say like hormonal, but they're just like in that era of their lives where it's like we're coming into terms of what we're going to be, who we're going to be as adults. And she plays it really cool. She is not always, fully Catwoman, which is fine. She doesn't have to be, but everything's there. She's the thief. She's the clever one. She gets it over on Bruce all the time. There's a genuine love and respect there, and she just plays it in a confident way that not every actress could. And I think the important thing we're going to see talking about all these Catwomen is that not everybody can play Selina Kyle. Not everybody can make that character work. Because there's a certain confidence you have to exude in order to get it proper, to get it right. There is a confidence, there is a power, there's so much that could just easily go wrong and become like you're doing like a stereotypical porn voice or a stereotypical pornography just style of movement or talking. But she nailed it. And just having it be like seeing what Selina Kyle is going to become, you buy it in the terms of what Gotham is as a show. You think like, oh yeah, this young woman's going to be, part of like the legacy era that isn't, like the Penguin and Riddler and all of them. She's going to be in the era of Batman. She's going to be there to build up her reputation, to build up her name. And I think that's a really cool thing to see. I don't think she's my favorite actress to play Catwoman. I haven't seen her enough to know how she is outside of the role because honestly, I don't know what else Cameron has really done. But she's a great talent. She did a great job as this Selina Kyle. I loved her relationship with that Bruce Wayne. It was one of the strongest. It seemed like these young people find each other. I thought that was really cool and a really fun thing to see. And from there, we go to 2012's The Dark Knight Rises, where we have Anne Hathaway playing Catwoman. This one's mixed to me, and it's mixed in the positive ways. Anne Hathaway, a stunning woman, a stunning talent. She can do no wrong on screen. She's an absolute pleasure to watch. Her Selena Kyle's weird. I really just think it's doing some weird stuff, and it's not like bad weird stuff. It's just stuff that you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting it to go that route. I wasn't expecting them to try to do that thing. But it's kind of cool. Her costume, not my favorite costume, but she definitely has the voice right. She has the physique right. She has the kind of like power over Bruce Wayne a bit. I think the chemistry is the weakest here. And that might just because this interpretation of Batman is just like an aloof asshole. But I just think there's something about this performance that I understand it's like the template for people going forward. I understand why it's a lot of people's favorite. It's just so easy. It's just Selena like going on autopilot where it's like, okay, you could be sexy, you could be confident, you're going to be, just confident in everything you're doing here. And it works well. Sadly, I think the worst part about it is that the movie it's a part of hinders it from being a stellar, breakout, or just like, oh, this character is fantastic. It's like she's part of a really weird movie where everything around it kind of like bogs down, like, oh, she's actually could be doing something impressive here. Again, I really like Anne Hathaway's Selena Kyle. I think it's great. You understand why she likes Kristen Bale. You get the relationship between the characters. There's an aloof sexiness to her. I just think, like, in the terms of the grand scope of the film, there's just so much else going on there that the relationship doesn't get played up to the extent where I think it works perfectly. And sometimes it just kind of becomes like, yep, there's Catwoman. She's a part of this movie too. She does not stand out perfectly. She does not, just embody the character perfectly, but you love every second of it. You can't take your eyes off her when she's on screen. And that to me is the important thing about a Catwoman, is that she is there. You are prominently focused on her. You cannot look away. That is really cool. That is something that not all these Catwomen have, because we'll get into it a bit more. But some of these people, they're all fantastic. But a younger audience is not going to be drawn to them the way some people have. Like these two I've just talked about, Cameron and Anne, these are going to be the one that a young generation remembers. And then we go to the one that nobody's going to remember because nobody wants to talk about this movie. Remember, folks, before Captain Marvel, before Wonder Woman, Catwoman had her own film. And in that film, Halle Berry, one of the sexiest women alive, I don't care what anybody says, Halle Berry is gorgeous. A beautiful woman. Then and now she is aged like a fine wine. You just want to get a sip of it. She was Selena Kyle. Or no, she wasn't Selena Kyle. What was the name of her Catwoman? Something stupid. Look, I saw this movie once, but I always see the clips just floating around like the worst movies ever made when she did like the Razzie thing. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this film is perfect. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everything about her performance is great. I'm just going to tell you, in an era in the early 2000s, when everything in that era was fucking terrible, she did as good as she could with a Catwoman movie. Halle Berry really went all out for this. Sometimes it feels like she didn't. Sometimes it feels like it was just a mistake waiting to happen. It was a really weird choice, but it worked. For some reason, I think she did okay. And the movie's bad. It's a terrible movie, and I don't recommend watching it, but she's a standout performance. She's a memorable-ish kind of role in it. It's weird. I'm trying to defend this film, even though I know it's bad. I don't think Halle Berry's bad in it, though. She's just doing Catwoman with what she was given, and what she was given was not really Selena Kyle. It was just like this weird interpretation of nothingness. The movie went through development hell. The movie just was insane, and it didn't have anything going for it. It's just like exactly what that was, which sucks. But I think if we are doing this return to the DC universes all this time, I would love to see Halle Berry return. You know what I would really like to see? I don't think it would ever happen, but I would love to see Halle Berry in the Eartha Kitt suit. I think would just be like a great cap off to having her return. I think that's cool. Like Halle, I don't know what else I can say about this film other than it's bad. Halle Berry did the best of what she could. She was sexy. She was Catwoman. It was fine. It's a bad movie and it doesn't deserve to be talked about anymore. But I just want to say Halle Berry is a talented woman, and I'm super impressed that she got a career after this because it was so bad. Oh man, that poor girl. Oh, and then from there, we jump back to the 90s and we go to Tim Burton because guess what? We get to look at arguably the best Catwoman in Michelle Pfeiffer. I have said this numerous times on and off air. Michelle Pfeiffer is one of my favorite women working. She is just a talented woman. She is beautiful. She is spectacular. I love everything she is doing. And everything about this performance just screams Selina Kyle. It's different than what you see in the comic books. It's different than that era. It kind of starts off where she's like quiet and alone. And I think to me, it just shows like the duality of being a woman in power can be when you are surrounded by this men in this like high world and Christopher Walken's your boss and all this weird shit going on around you. You are just like a woman who's ignored. You don't feel beautiful. You don't feel empowered. And then suddenly you become this embodiment of femininity and you can just become this other thing. There's like this weird stoic neuroticness to this Catwoman where any moment she could say whatever she wants, any moment she could do whatever she wants. I think that's really cool. It's the most unhinged, I say unhinged loosely just because it's the most like out there performance, but everything in the Tim Burton movies were like out there. This is just a Catwoman who could do anything and everything at once, and I love it. And my goodness, I love the way Michael Keaton is just so obsessed with this woman. Their chemistry, they're just the way they look at each other, the way they talk to each other, it is so fun to watch on screen. The highlight of those films, just because, you know, the stuff with Danny DeVito is weird, it's okay, but just seeing Michelle Pfeiffer just chew the scenery in all the perfect seductive ways where it's just leaving you wanting more. You just want to get a little more breadcrumbs in there just to follow this beautiful, powerful woman around. It's awesome. It is so cool. It is so fun. And it's such a brilliant performance. I love this suit. It's just like the way it looks like it's stitched together in this insane leather. I know she like had a hard time moving in this suit, but this is it. Like when I think Selina Kyle, when I think live action Catwoman, I think of this neurotic, crazy, beautiful woman who just shows you like the power that a female can hold over a man while still being like terrified of what like the masculine world can do to her. That is such an intense performance, a beautiful performance. I love every second of this, and I love every second of Michelle Pfeiffer. If Keaton's coming back, and we know he is, please get Pfeiffer back because, God, she's great. Just great. I love it. I love it so much. It's fantastic. And you're probably thinking, what? There's no more than that. Well, there is, kids, because guess what? Back in the Batman 66... there was three women to play Catwoman. I know what you're thinking. Why was there three women to play this thing from the Adam West era? Well, a couple of things. First off, I think the first one to play it was Julie Newmar. She played it on, what was it, was she in the movie or was Lee Merriweather in the movie? I can't remember. Let's talk about Julie Newmar and Lee Merriweather. Interchangeable, honestly, just because, you know, I believe it was Lee Merriweather brought in to replace Julie Newmar when she didn't do the movie. They're interchangeable, but they are just great in the role. You know, they look the part. I love this classic costume that these Catwomen have. There's like the weird looking, it's like spandex with like the sparkles all over it, the cat ears. This is just, I'm sure, a costume that every girl wore at one point. It's just cool. It's just fun. In terms of what we're seeing against the Adam West Batman, these Catwomen are great. They're just like the counterpart. They're kind of like interchangeable with any villain, where it's like at any given point the plot of that movie could be any one of the villains in any one of the roles. But the Catwomen, you recognize them. You remember Julie Newmar. You remember Lee Merriweather. They're just powerful, sexy, cool. I love them all. Honestly, I love them all. And I would say next to Michelle Pfeiffer, Lee Merriweather's probably my favorite, just because like the 66 movie is just ingrained in my brain. Like I just adore that film. I love every second of it. I love everything it represents. It was just one of those things that I just have such a fond memory of. I just adore it so much. If it wasn't for our last one on this list, I would say Lee Merriweather is my second favorite Catwoman. But we have one last Catwoman to talk about. And arguably, I remember when I said arguably for Michelle Pfeiffer, I would put right up there, right next to Michelle Pfeiffer, I would put Eartha Kitt. Because this is Selina fucking Kyle. There is so much confidence and power and sex appeal and seduction and intricate just beauty to the way she does her crimes, the way she looks, I can't get enough of it. She only came in because Newmar wasn't going to commit to another season, so in the final season, Eartha Kitt comes in, the first black woman to play Selina Kyle, the first black woman to play Catwoman. It's awesome. It was different. It was sexy. It was cool. Everything about this Catwoman was fierce and striking and powerful and so intense and so gripping and so insane. I adored it. I adore every second of it. So cool. I love this one. Eartha Kitt is one of my favorite figures from classic Hollywood. She just has so much interesting nature behind her. I just adore her so much. And seeing her on this show, because I have the entire collection of DVDs for this show, I just remember she was the best. She was just the fun, sexy woman just showing up, being a foil. It was cool. It was awesome. I adore her. I love her so much. So that is all the actresses to play Catwoman in live action. We have Zoe Kravitz coming up this year. I'm very excited to see what she's going to do. It's going to follow in the tradition of a black actress playing Selina Kyle, because guess what? It's happened more than once. It's very cool. So before we take a break here and jump into Catwoman Hunted, why don't I give you my ranking on some of these Catwomen? So my number one, I'm going to give to Michelle Pfeiffer. I just think she's the most iconic. I think she does the best. My number two, I'm going to give to Eartha Kitt. And then my number three, I'm going to give to Lee Merriweather. My number four, I am going to give to Anne Hathaway. My number five, to Cameron Bukadova. My number six, I'm going to give to Julie Newmar. My number seven, I'm going to give to Halle Berry. But you know what? I would put every single one of their performances above half of the men playing Batman. So let that sink in for a minute. Because you know what? There's a lot better actresses that played Catwoman than there is better actors that played Batman. So we're going to take a quick break and we're going to jump into the world of Catwoman Hunted. I hope you guys like that and it's going to be very fun. So thank you guys so much. No, we don't need to do that because we're going to go. You'll get the end credits when we do that. So yeah. Do that instead. There you go. Cut right here. Taryn in the editing, cut right here. Catwoman Hunted. This is the latest of the DC animated movies. And these are very interesting. I think since literally their conception, these movies have been hit or miss. There's some great ones. There's some really bad ones. There's some weird continuity where they want to make it all connect, and making it all connect just makes it fall apart. And I think what they're doing lately with things like The Long Halloween, the Man of Tomorrow movie, it's like we're going to make standalones. If we want to connect them, we could. They don't have to be connected. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but we got a Catwoman one that definitely is not in continuity, mainly because it's a different animation style. This animation style is a mix of, well, I shouldn't say mix, it's just straight up anime. And I don't watch a lot of anime, so it's not a genre or a type of animation I know a lot about. But I do know the tropes, and I do know the stories that it plays with, and this is it. If you wanted an anime inspired by DC characters, you got it. It's this animated thing. It's a heist film. It's an action film. It's very cat-centric, which, okay, why not? Because you got cat characters. Use them in your cat-themed superhero movie. It's not bad. And when I say it's not bad, it is a quick, breezy, like 78 minutes of just Catwoman being Catwoman. If you like Catwoman, if you are a fan of Selena Kyle, and I do like this character, it does a good job presenting this character in a positive light. I think Elizabeth Gillies is a great choice for the English voice, just because she really gets it. And she just does something I think works really well for this character, and that is you play up the seductive nature. And that's something that sometimes is missed, especially in modern stuff where it's like, we're going to make her, fun and flirty, but it's like, come on, she's having a lot of fun while she's doing it. She should have like that presence in her voice, that lisp, that just like that quiet soundingness to it. She does a good job presenting that. Probably, I'd say, a top 3 voice actress for Catwoman, just because you really buy it. You buy you just buy everything she's saying when she's doing it, and I really do appreciate that. This interpretation of Selena Kyle, I really do like it. I think there's something really fun and positive about it, where in every situation she's in, she's having just a good time. She's enjoying herself. She's just enjoying everything about the world that she's a part of in here, and that's something I really like to see. I think where this falls apart comes with the other characters, because it's just a weird plot that sometimes doesn't work with itself. To me, it was really condensed in, like, I think the first 30 minutes, where it's like, oh, here's her trying to steal this jewel. After she gets this jewel, it's this weird spy movie, and then it becomes this like weird action movie. I'm like, this is an interesting choice. I don't know if you need it. One of the things I do really like, though, is making like Barbara Minerva, who is the cheetah, one of the villains to Catwoman. I'm like, that's a fun concept to play with, because you got a Catwoman and a woman that's like, like a jungle cat. That's a fun idea to explore and play with, but it just kind of becomes nothingness, because it doesn't really act like a character who Cheetah would be. It's more like, we have a crime boss and now we're going to make it Cheetah because we need a cat villain. That's what it feels like. I do like the use of characters like Black Mask and Tobias Whale. I'm like, those are some interesting pulls to put in here. They work really well. Other deep cuts are like Julia Pennyworth. Like, that's a choice that you actively have to seek out to like put that character in here. You would not just pick that for no reason. Same with King Faraday. I'm like, really, King Faraday? That's the character we're going to go with for this scene. That's an interesting choice, because I'm like, I barely remember King Faraday in anything but New Frontier. It's like the only place I know King Faraday from. I'm just like, that's a bold choice. One of the choices that they do make that I'm still mixed on, and I'm like, this is an interesting just vocal choice, is Stephanie Beatrice as Catwoman. As Batwoman, I mean. It's jarring because she is doing the Rosa voice from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and it's so clearly her that it doesn't feel like it come from the body of the person that's speaking the words, and her characterization is close to Batwoman. I think it works just fine, but it's really just jarring, and it kind of takes you a second to adjust to it. To me, it was like the standout where I'm like, okay, you're trying to set up the relationship between Catwoman and Batwoman, like their flirtatious nature, their fun times they have together. It's okay, but it just doesn't work perfectly in every scene, and it feels kind of forced at times, where I'm like, you're trying to make this sound more fun than it actually is to see. And I think that's just the problem with the movie in general, where it's like, it's doing all these cool ideas, and it's more like, hey, this could be fun if it was more interesting to look at, but it's just kind of bland, and it doesn't really do anything else. There's a great idea introducing Cheshire and this character called, what was it, Nosferatu or something, which is like a female Nosferatu thing. If that's a character before, I don't know. It's like, hey, a bat and a cat fighting a bat and a cat. That's a cool concept that ultimately goes nowhere and doesn't really do anything to add the story. Where it worked is the heist stuff, is the spy stuff, and when it's like trying to be kind of like a fun, flirty, bisexual thing where this character's just hitting on everybody, making cool jokes about everybody, and then it's just like, hey, here we're going to do like some big action sequences that ultimately suffer from, I think, the genre it's trying to be, which is the anime genre. It's like, hey, we have to put the big monsters in, these pointless demons and stuff, just because that's what we're doing apparently. That hurts it. That takes you out a little bit, and it really just leaves you going, this is a weird choice for a Catwoman film. I don't think it's boring. I just think the choices it makes are choices that I wouldn't. And that can hurt a film like this. It's better than some of the other animated stuff currently from DC. Like, I would rewatch this in a heartbeat over The Long Halloween. But as it stands, I think Elizabeth Gillies is a great voice for Selena Kyle. If this was a better movie, with I think better animation, better pacing, and a more interesting plot, it could have went better. But just as a standalone Catwoman film goes, I could see something like this being adapted into live action. But for animation, you didn't play with like in the bounds of animation to the point where I think you could have done something special. There's nothing really intrinsically cool about this. It's just like, hey, here's a sexy Catwoman and a sexy Batwoman and a sexy Cheetah Lady. They're talking, they're having fun, they're doing their thing, and then nothing really comes about it. That's all this Catwoman movie was. I guess for 78 minutes, you'll use your budget okay, but you could have done more with your budget, more of your time, and just make us care more about this world. I do like it does play into the bisexual nature of Selena Kyle. That's something I think should be explored more. That's pretty much the saving grace of this. There's one of my favorite scenes in it is just when she's seducing Kate, and it's like almost getting somewhere interesting where it's not just like, having them kiss. It's like that's a character that should be persuaded by this action. I like what that's doing. The rest of it, typical anime genre stuff, doesn't do anything creative. You could throw any character in this and it would feel the same as any other anime. The fact that it's Catwoman, sure. You just put a DC logo on it, there you go. Mass market this shit. It looks okay. It's not that special. I wanted more, but also what we got, I'm not surprised by. So Catwoman, Hunted. I'm going to give a 6 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.